Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Culture Wave Media Network. I am here today to discuss a movie that is very much in the news in the now with award season happening currently. It is The Last Showgirl, which is directed by Gia Coppola, and it stars Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kiernan Shipka, Dave Bautista, and Brenda Song as the principal cast for the film, as well as Billie Lourd. So this was a movie that... I was supposed to record the review with Liz. Hope you're feeling better. Liz was sick when we got to do this record, but I'm going to talk about it solo. It's one that we both were anticipating, mostly because Pamela Anderson has been in the spotlight with this for the award season. And Pamela Anderson, I'm sure many people, if you're aware of her, you're probably clicking on this video because you were aware that she is in the spotlight of this and the starring role of this film, The Last Showgirl. She obviously being best known for her role in Baywatch, but was very much just indicated as a sex symbol for the beginning of her career. With this movie, they take what Pamela Anderson's strengths are and they highlight them in a modern story, but really a modern tragedy. And what this story is that it's a Las Vegas showgirl scene that's happening. It's the show that's been running in Vegas for decades, and she was one of the original dancers, and it's closing down. It's for its final shows. And what it really highlights is the tragedy of understanding what it is to reach for a dream and then having that dream stripped away from you when it's the only thing you've ever kind of lived for. So Pamela Anderson plays a character by the name of Shelley, and she plays also this motherly role to Kiernan Shipka's character and Brenda Song's characters in particular, kind of indicating that being a member of the show is the greatest and most prestigious thing you'll ever live through and the greatest thing that's ever happened to her. And it also deals with some inner turmoil with what's happening with what she had to give up for a life as a showgirl, namely her relationship with her daughter, Hannah, played by Billie Lourd. The biggest thing for me with this movie was... as a pro, was that Pamela Anderson being an awards consideration is 100% valid. I think that what this movie does and what Gia Coppola is able to do is really utilize Pamela Anderson's strengths as an actress and put her at the forefront of a story that completely makes sense for where she is at this point in time, not only in her career, but what she's lived through in her experience. So much of what she was looked at as Baywatch was a pretty face. She was on the covers of magazines, and so much of what came from that was the fact that she was essentially a sex symbol. This is dealing with what Shelley's character has to deal with as she's at an older age, and she has to deal with the reality that she is no longer the sex symbol that she once was. She was the poster child for this Las Vegas showgirl show that was basically performing multiple shows every day, the biggest show on the Vegas Strip. By the time that the show is wrapping up, they've cut their days to just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. One of the shows, they only have 18 people in the crowd. It's a really tragic story, and I think the really great thing about what she was able to do was she had a lot of layers to her performance, while at the same time sticking to exactly who her character was. The relationship with Hannah was interesting, but the biggest thing for me that I wish we got a little bit more from this film was her relationship with Eddie, who is played by Dave Bautista, and he plays essentially the producer of the show. He's the one that gets all the women in their places, and he relays all the information to the lighting crew. And I thought that there was a lot of potential there for their relationship, especially when we get a reveal later on in the film about what had happened previously with them, to kind of explore that a little bit more. My biggest con with this movie is that it's a very short story, and it's something where it feels like there wasn't enough depth to the story in general. There was more with the characters that I wanted to explore, and I felt that we didn't necessarily get that with the script, which was written by Kate Gersten. I just thought there were different layers that they could have kind of unpacked. You get a really interesting moment. Spoiler alert for the people who haven't seen this film, but so much of Shelley's relationship, like I said, with her daughter is spotlighted, and when she has turmoil with her daughter, there's a moment where Kiernan Shipka's character comes to her at her door front and is like, "Hey, my mom's not answering the phone, and I didn't know that I couldn't go home just because I came here to pursue my career as a dancer." And Shelley's basically like, "I can't deal with this right now. I am really stressed out. I'm sorry," and slams the door in her face. And it's a really big wake up call to Jodie, Kiernan Shipka's character, but also really revealing so much of what Shelley deals with internally, where she basically gave up her life as a mother with a family to pursue this dream as being a Las Vegas showgirl. And she was nominated for the SAG for this, Pamela Anderson. I think it's well deserved. Jamie Lee Curtis as Annette is also great in the film, though she's not in it quite enough to me, where she would kind of strike the chord of being nominated for Best Supporting Actress. But for me, the biggest thing with this movie was Pamela Anderson's a standout performer. I love to get to see Dave Bautista working with different directors and kind of show a more serious side of himself. He's very internal with his character, but you can see that he's dealing with his own struggles, even kind of relaying his own historical past working with Siegfried and Roy, and what that life in Las Vegas means to him as well. But the biggest thing for me is that I just wanted this movie to hit me a little bit harder, even though it is a tragic story and you feel bad for Shelley as a character and all the people around her. I thought that it would be a lot deeper of a story, and I think the ending would have hit harder if it kind of peeled back the layers a little bit more. So I think Pamela Anderson should definitely get nominated for an Academy Award for this. I think her performance is great, but the movie as a whole, it just was a bit lackluster for me. So for a score, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I think that it's a good movie, but I think it's one you could probably wait for on streaming. But it is going to be interesting to see kind of how Pamela Anderson is treated. It's an interesting year for the Academy Awards, with Demi Moore also being in the spotlight for The Substance. So some of these actresses that we haven't heard of from a while really getting a spotlight to showcase their talents. I think it's a great thing that Pamela Anderson got this opportunity with Gia Coppola in The Last Showgirl. But that is my quick, short review of The Last Showgirl here at the Culture Wave Media Network. If you guys want to see more reviews, check out all the stuff here at the end of the video. We're covering all stuff for award season. We've already talked to Nora and Wicked and The Substance and Conclave. Tons of things we have up on the channel, so check that stuff out. Follow us on social media if you guys can. All that stuff is in the description and underneath me right now. And hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. This is me, Darian Scalamoni, and we'll see you next time.
This is The Culture.